Welcome to Brainstorm MTG. I'm ELD, and this is Fast Effect, Double Speed Magic the Gathering from ELD's Time Ball Games in Bellingham, Mass. Here we have Death Shadow versus Dragon Stompy. A very difficult matchup for Death Shadow. I think probably one of the main reasons why you don't see as much Death Shadow in the format is Chalice of the Void is absolutely devastating versus it, shutting off Death Shadow, as well as all of the cantrips and efficient cards, Thoughtseize, Fatal Push. I mean, it's a ton of 1-drops. You do get Street Wraith, but you can't reanimate it. So, I mean, my goodness. Chalice of the Void, an absolute nightmare for the deck. Previous builds had run Throne of Geth to try and get around it. And we've got a turn 1 Delver and a turn 1 Chalice. Really ideal turns for both players. Delver not flipping. Wasteland taking out that Ancient Tomb. And though Oliver in a very bad spot, if Kelton doesn't have too much going on, Ollie could find a way to victory here. Chrome Mox imprinting Fiery Confluence. And now a Goblin Rabblemaster. And this is going to threaten to do some damage very quickly. Notice that Ollie played that Death Shadow into the Chalice, likely signaling that he has a Gurmag Angler that he's going to look to cast. Just going to need some cards to delve with. Oh, we've got a Reader. Looks like something from Boros. What is that? Legion Warboss, I believe it is. And we have just tons of goblins coming in. We got a chump block happening. Trying to preserve some amount of life. And this is likely going to be a wrap real soon. The Rabblemaster going to force all goblins to attack. All other goblins to attack. So this could be bad. Watery Grave coming into play. Tapped. And there's the Gurmag. Now we saw a Fiery Confluence pitched earlier. We'll see if Kelton has any other type of removal. Additional goblins. Literally running out of goblin tokens here. And the Rabblemaster, I believe, is about to get blocked. He trades and an additional Chalice at 1 just in case. And moving on to game number 2 there. Dragon Stompy's Chalice of the Void just doing an incredible amount of work. And of course those threats were nothing to scoff at either. But Oliver had no ability to really play around those threats due to the Chalice. Typically you'd want to be using your cantrips to find answers. You'd want cheap, efficient answers to those threats. Something like a Fatal Push after sacrificing a fetch land would take care of that Goblin Rabblemaster in its tracks, but instead Ollie really had pretty much no outs there. Even getting his Gurmag Angler into play was just a speed bump, really, for Kelton's march toward victory in game number 1. We'll see what happens here. Games 2 and possibly 3, Ollie on the play. Now, Death Shadow, not a card that typically comes down on the first turn, but it can come down on the second turn pretty easily. In between fetches and Street Wraith and Reanimate, definitely had many games looking along the lines of like a turn 1 Delver, turn 2, cycling Street Wraith, Reanimate. In between the fetch lands and the shocks, you know, your Death Shadow is going to survive. In the following turns, you can just crank it up to 11. We've got fetch land, mountain go, so much worse starts for both decks here. A watery grave coming into play. I'm going to assume that this actually did cast this Thoughtseize, so I believe Ollie would be at 15 here. Do not anticipate these life totals being correct. Now that Legion War Boss, I would say not super controversial that he's not as good as Goblin Rabblemaster, but he is a nice kind of supplement given that you cannot run 8 copies of Rabblemaster. Dragon Stompy really has gotten more teeth with recent printings. And Daze, after a Brainstorm, going to stop that threat, so Ollie's still very much in the match despite a slow start. Wasteland taking out that City of Traders, and now 2 mana, Chalice of the Void. And that sticks. We'll see if he has any answers to it. Ratchet Bomb and Throne of Geth, really the 2 most common. Throne of Geth was tech that came out when this deck kind of really debuted. Threw a Delver in. That to me looked more just like a Chalice check, just hoping to see if Kelton would miss the trigger more than just pumping up the Gurmag, given that he could have cast Gurmag immediately after. Ensnaring Bridge now. And that's Liliana the Last Hope. Very interesting. That's going to require some action on Kelton's side. If that ticks up and creates an ultimate, could have a problem. Magus of the Moon not actually an answer to it. It is going to blank Ollie's mana base. But if Kelton can't get low enough with his cards in hand, this could actually create a mass of zombies that could get underneath this bridge. Let's see how he does. Chandra. And she's now going after Ollie's life total. I believe Lily's going to need to get to 7. It's 6 now. Checking to see if this Chandra can actually interact with this Lily. Just going after the life total. Another Ensnaring Bridge. And we may see this ultimate happen. There's one card potentially doing a ton of work. I may have to check and see what the heck her ultimate is. 4 more turns. A Trinisphere. Not really gonna do much. I think we're looking at the ultimate. Time for some zombies. Can he get rid of this Ratchet Bomb under a Blood Moon? No, Fiery Confluence is going to do it. And Kelton takes it down. Man, that's really highlighting, I think, some of the concerns with this blue-black Death Shadow build. It's got some incredibly good matchups, but it does struggle more than other builds versus these onboard cards like Chalice of the Void and Ensnaring Bridge. Solving that may be the key to making this an absolute monster in the metagame. That is all for this one, but don't worry, there is a lot more. You can check out our older videos, and we're always putting out new videos from ELD's Time Vault Games in Bellingham, Massachusetts. If you want to help the channel, of course, you can like, subscribe, share, tap that notification bell so you can know the next time our new videos come out. Thanks for watching.